Welcome to Friends with Fertility, the podcast where we dive deep into the world of fertility, reproductive health, and all the emotional journeys that are in between. I'm your host, Elizabeth King, a fertility expert dedicated to providing you with the knowledge, support, and inspiration you need on your path to parenthood. Whether you're just starting out, exploring your options, or looking for solidarity and advice, we are here for you. Let's embark on this journey together and turn uncertainty into empowerment and make friends with fertility. Let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome back to Friends with Fertility. Today our friend is Lindsay Goodwin. Welcome, Lindsay.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me, Elizabeth.
Thanks for being here. For those of you who have listened, or maybe it hasn't yet come out yet, I was just on Lindsay's podcast last week. So I feel like we're fast friends already from last week. But let me tell you a little bit about her bio before we jump in. She is a groundbreaking voice in the field of conscious fertility, known for fusing natural reproductive medicine with spiritual fertility mastery in ways that no one else has done before. With nearly 2 decades of clinical experience and intuitive mastery, she is a licensed health provider, board-certified fellow of the Acupuncture and TCM Board for Reproductive Medicine, and a spiritual fertility medium guiding women and couples to align with their spirit babies and awaken the deeper consciousness of creation. Her near-death experience ignited a life mission to transform their fertility journey into one of empowerment, spiritual awakening, and profound possibility. Today, Lindsay is a sought-after international fertility mentor, speaker, author, and the host of the Fertile Frequencies Radio, where she is redefining how the world understands fertility, healing, and the future of conscious conception and parenthood. Wow, I don't know what is going on with me and my words as we're speaking through this, but it is a lot. And I'm probably because I'm so excited to talk to you about all these things as we spoke about before. But before we kind of dig into the fertility stuff and all of that goodness, tell us about your near-death experience. I'm curious about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was born an intuitive medium. I have always been seeing spirit, known things about people and their thoughts, able to hear messages. I'm very clairaudient as well as clairvoyant and clairsentient. And so as a child, I was very sensitive, didn't know how I knew things that I knew them. And then growing up, we try to fit into society. We think that's the thing to do and really blend in. Well, when I was 37, I actually had a near-death experience where I was robbed at gunpoint. And this happened in Chicago. And while it was happening, I had an out-of-body experience. And it wasn't that I died and came back. Like some people have those sort of near-death experiences. This was more like a separation from the body. And I was experiencing, like, I guess, everything and all that is. I call it God. You could call it source, universe, whatever you're comfortable with. It doesn't really matter. It's all the same thing. And it was just this warming, glowing presence that lit up the entire room. And I felt like I was watching my body from above. And while this was happening, I was communicating with angels and spirit guides and this energy that was there. I have chills all over my body talking about it. I do every single time I tell the story. And this energy was not only protecting me, but I was also protecting the person that had the gun to my back. And so that woke me up. After that, it's just the universe put that there that, look, you've been ignoring what you're here for, and it's time to wake up. And so that's how I see that experience. It is like alchemy. It's alchemizing an experience into gold. That's how I see pretty much everything in life, is that we can turn it into something that empowers us. And so that's what happened with this experience. And after that, I started getting a lot of messages from spirit babies. And I was working as a fertility acupuncturist at the time. And I would just get these messages. It was like they would just pop in. These little kids would pop into my third eye, and I would get, these like almost like picture shows of them. They would show me different things and try to get me to make their moms, because most of my clients are women, and I do work with couples too. So I do work with both partners. But at the time I was mostly working with women, and they would pop in, and I'm like thinking to myself, how in the heck am I going to start telling these people that I see your child in spirit before they're actually in the physical body? And then I started having dreams, these really intense dreams about spirit babies. And these spirit guides would come to me in dreams and tell me that this was my job, as I said, I'm here as a medium to be able to help these souls come into physical form, because the children that are coming in now, the souls that are coming in now, they are so awakened in their consciousness. They're so advanced. They have different work that they're doing than what our generations did, or people listening to this that are trying to get pregnant. So they are very awake in that they're here to take human consciousness to a much higher place in evolution. And so they're interesting, very cool little souls. I mean, no soul is little, it's expansive energy, but it's just kind of in our human mind, we think of them as these little cute little souls. So I did not know what a spirit baby medium actually was. And then my mentor, she came in and she had a class and she just showed up. It was the craziest thing. And so I actually went through her course and learned how to be a spirit baby medium and got close with her as well. And it just took off from there. And it's interesting because it's not everything that I do, but it is part of my job, is to help these souls come in.
That's
So yeah.
amazing. I think as somebody who, as I also can get downloads from the babies, and it's so
Yeah.
fun to do that. But I think that it's interesting because you and I have spoken before, as I mentioned, that
Mhm.
similar downloads that I get as well of this information about the next generation being more open, for lack of a better term, I
Mhm.
guess. And when I
Mhm.
say open, I visually like the channel of us as humans just being more open in all kinds of expansive ways.
Yeah.
And I wonder, and maybe you know this or don't know this, but do you think that that experience of the near death experience, that your true passion was to connect the spirit babies? Is that what you're saying? As far as like, okay, I need to be doing this, even though you were already doing acupuncture and fertility. I'm not clear on what you were saying with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you. It was the near death experience clarified what I'm here to do.
Okay.
I was working as a fertility acupuncturist, and I think I was getting messages. I really wasn't aware of what they were until the near death experience happened. And so also working in fertility. I just have to state that that's not something that I really wanted to do. I always wanted to work in pain management and autoimmune because I have a really strong interest in autoimmune, which most people that have autoimmune disorders also are women. But I always had just felt kind of, I think that we are scared of things that are actually our purpose. And so I was very terrified to work with pregnant women and to work on women's health and to work in fertility, just because there's so much intricacy there. And it's actually my purpose. I'm here to help with the feminine energy and just creation, because fertility is so much more than just creating babies. We talked about that last week. Is it's creating anything, and so helping people to move more into the feminine energy. But I help people through fertility and having babies. So it's giving people much more than just their babies. It's giving them the opportunity to really awaken to that creative creation power that they truly have within all of us. So yeah, it was the universe chose for me as well, that I just started getting all these patients for fertility and women's health and pregnancy when I started my practice for acupuncture. And that was before I had the near death experience, about 3 years before I actually had that. And then once I had the near death experience, it's like it reawakened something within me. And that's when I started getting the messages. Like, they were very like straightforward, not always straightforward, but like obvious that, hey, this is what's going on, Lindsay. Like, you're here to do this work. And then starting to get these dreams with these spirit guides. I call them the spirit baby realm keepers. And they would say things to me like, you got to get your stuff together. You know what you're here for. You got to do it. And I would write these dreams down, like these long dreams. And I would remember like things that they would say. And then I would just be like, okay, wait, what do I do with this now? Like, I don't know what a spirit baby medium is. And then that's when my mentor came along and they showed me, that's the thing with the universe. It will always provide what you need. it just isn't always making sense right away, but being patient with yourself and with the process, you will get the answer.
Which leads me to my next point is for a lot of my patients over these years, I working with mediums and psychics is something that I've always been into. I've never shied away from that. One of the reasons why is I think that it gives people who are in a state of indecisiveness or
Mhm.
transition or trauma or something, it often will give them some clarity and some hope at times where you feel like there may not be hope. And I'm not here to say like you put all your eggs in this basket and you believe everything that
Mhm.
somebody has told you or whatever. No, I'm not, because I do feel that we all know intuitively in our own that when we are hearing something from someone else who claims to be the intuitive that we may be paying them, that we know what resonates as true for us or not. And
Mhm.
sometimes it's just that validation that we need to hear to be like, okay, I am on the
Mhm.
right track. My baby is coming, and these are the messages that I was meant to get from that baby at this point. And so
Mhm.
a lot of times I use that as part of my extension of the work that I do to send them to spirit baby mediums, because I feel like that does give an additional sense of comfort to know that again they're on the right track and they're validating what they're going through and things like that. It's a deeper dimension than anything that I can provide. Now, I've as you and I spoke about, a spirit baby might pop in for 5 to 10 minutes in my sessions, but that's very different than what you do. So can you explain to people what it is that you do when they're coming to see you from a spirit baby specific medium reading?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. Yeah, so my readings are, first of all, I have to state that I'm not a fortune teller.
Right.
I don't
Nobody is.
ever. Nope, no one is, because we're in charge of our own reality, and we can make changes. So someone could tell you something and it might not happen exactly in that time frame because you're projecting your own future. And that can be hard too, thinking with fertility journeys that people are thinking, well, I'm not doing this to myself. How in the heck am I doing this to myself? It's just really seeing it from the side of it's evolving, and what it is that you need to learn before your child actually comes into physical form. And that can be very frustrating place to be. I tell people what they need to know. It's a combination of really the spirit baby guiding me, really about maybe what needs to be healed, what I can do to help them heal. Generally, most people that are working with me will work for a series of months with me, especially if they've been struggling with fertility obstacles for a long time. There's probably a lot of subconscious mind work to do. There's a lot going on. So I'm really integrating the unseen energy more with some of that scientific stuff, similar to a lot of what you're doing, Elizabeth. But they pop in and out. So I can't say I'm one of these mediums that will sit the whole time and everything spirit, 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 because I just get messages how they come. So it might be that, hey, let my mom know that she needs to spend more time in nature. Let her know that when she's meditating that I'm there. Ask her about this. There's a lot of clients I've had over the years that will actually have experiences where they've had dreams or meditations with the child, and then the child comes earthside and actually would say, hey, do you remember when you meditated and we had this experience? And you're kind of looking at the kid like, what? They remember that. So, there it could be so many different variables here. I also see orbs, I call them sparkles. There's feelings that I get, but it is a lot of telling a story. I feel that with spirit, that I will get all kinds of different messages, and I'm telling you a story of really what the message is. And then, of course, people will ask questions, and then that leads into something else. I always encourage people to ask a lot of questions when they are getting a reading, that it's not generally recommended that you just come and don't have questions, because we can't really just have spirit guess. Like, you need to actually, or have me guess. I'm not here to guess, I'm here to direct you. And so really, having those questions is really helpful and specific at what you'd like to know. And sometimes we don't get a direct answer either, because you're supposed to actually figure that out yourself, and that's part of your healing process.
Two things that I want to talk about: the healing process and trauma. I know that,
Yeah.
you've mentioned trauma a bit. Tell us about trauma in general and how that affects all of these things. And what's considered
Yeah.
trauma, right? Sometimes
Mhm.
what I might consider trauma is not for the next, or traumatic may not be for the next person. How do you
Yeah. Yeah.
define that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it definitely comes in lots of different forms. And you're right, it's very specific to the person. What I see a lot, what I can tell you in fertility is that people will have trauma, and that it could be that maybe their aunt or their mom had infertility and trying to get pregnant with them, or maybe there was womb trauma. So with me, I actually, my mother was in an abusive relationship when she was pregnant with me with my biological father. And I remember that. I remember being in the womb, and the first thing I wanted to do was come out and try to protect my mother. That's like one of the first things. I couldn't handle not being away from her. I had such an attachment. And now that I know everything I know about trauma and about birth trauma and how the subconscious mind forms at the last trimester, you're forming it until you're about 7 years old, that's what was happening with me. So there was a lot of trauma there. And that might be why I'm so drawn to fertility too, is really helping people to be in positions where they are in healthy relationships. I can't say that I get a lot of people anymore that are not in healthy relationships, but working on your relationship too, the child feels that. And if you feel that, you're not fully connecting with your partner, we might need to look at that. But so it could be that. It could be before you even came earthside, there could be trauma there. As well as a lot of women have a lot of sexual trauma and they don't talk about it. And that causes all kinds of blockage in the womb space. And then that makes it so the body kind of shuts down, is like, whoa, wait a minute, this is not a place for creation. Your nervous system is on autopilot, fight or flight all of the time. And this is not a place to bring a baby. So people consciously don't realize that there's things going on in the subconscious mind, but your hormones, your body are always listening. And so essentially your fertility can shut down because of experiences that you've had that need to be addressed. And so working with someone that is very intuitive and can really dive in and help you to understand where those blockages could possibly be. So it could be a lot of things. Like I said, pre-birth, it could be past lifetime. It could be ancestral trauma. I mean, we could get into like layers and layers and layers because we carry that too. That's the thing with nature is that we just continue to create, and we have genetics from, lineage from generations and generations ago. So what about their trauma that they experienced? And then our bodies are holding on to that too. So genetics play a part in this too, like the physical genetics. And then we also have DNA that's coming from the spiritual DNA too.
And I think that this is so common. It's just not common to talk about, right? So
Hmm.
people are running into this every day in their fertility journey, but they're not aware of what it is that they're running into. They
Hmm.
know they're not getting pregnant easily, but they're not sure why they're not getting pregnant easily. Lindsay and I know, because we've been doing this work for a long time, that it's so multidimensional. Again, we need to have the physical side checked out as well to make sure we're good on that. But there's
Hmm.
this whole other realm of possibilities of what could be preventing pregnancy. So I'm really happy that we're having this conversation again, because I think just normalizing that for people to start to think a little bit deeper about their family history, about situations around them, or maybe their partner's family history, it doesn't
Hmm.
necessarily belong to you, but maybe somebody else, that needs to be cleared away from your energy before you go on to be getting pregnant. So when people are working
Hmm.
with you, Lindsay, and they're going through this over a period of time, what does that look like for your clients when they're going through this with you? Is it a physical experience? Is it only emotional?
Hmm.
Because I know you also did acupuncture as well. Like, do you combine the two at all? How does this work?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm local in Denver, Colorado, and I do have some clients that I do have that are in my program that also do acupuncture. So
What a
but
cool
I
experience if you are somebody who's local to Denver to be able to go do that and have like all the energetic work done at the same time. I would love that.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, absolutely. I wish I could do it forever. I wish I could do that globally, but unfortunately I can. I mean, that's yeah. Physically, we have to have you in front to put those needles in, but
Right.
I do have relationships with other acupuncturists in other cities, so I definitely refer people to good people because not all providers it really they might say they treat fertility. I'm a big stickler on that, but it's we really have to make sure that you understand what somebody is going through, especially if they're going through IVF or fertility treatments, because it's really an integration of really helping the patient or client to be able to really understand that, oh, I feel safe with you because you understand what my IVF is like, and really be able to integrate that with Chinese medicine, holistic medicine. So it's really important. And so I do, that is an option, as well as I work with people globally, and it's a combination. I mean, everyone is unique, and some people need more energetic work. They need more hypnotherapy. I'm a certified hypnotherapist. I do NLP, which is neuro linguistic programming, and then there are time techniques, which is part of NLP, and really helping people to reprogram those subconscious beliefs. I do a lot of visualizations. I can do virtual energy healing. And then also, I intertwine the readings into that too. So it really, when I work with people, it's the universe sends them to me. It is not that I'm out seeking them. It is that they're asking and they find me because it's a connection. And it took me a long time to get over, not being for everybody because we want to be, because we want to help everybody, but not everybody is going to be ready for this work. And so I just allow the universe to just send the people that I'm meant to help, and they seem to find me.
An easy way to go about life, I feel like, right? Of just kind of surrendering to like we
Mhm.
all find each other in the right moments that we're supposed to. And again, even with you and I connecting, I mentioned to you last week that I was so excited because we are so aligned on so many of these
Yeah.
levels. And I'm always excited about talking to somebody who I know believes in the same things that I believe in as
Mhm.
well. And I think that that's what, when you find somebody who is a practitioner for you that can help you, guide you, and you feel that alignment and you feel that excitement, listen to that and follow that
Mhm.
intuition of yourself, because again, I really believe that we're all guided not on accident to connect with
Mm-mm.
other people in our lives. And like I said before, a lot of times when people come to me and they're looking for that next level of clarity or validation or something from a deeper level of intuitiveness, that's when I think it really kicks in, not only for the healing for you, but also for your baby and like everybody's
Mhm.
energy around you, which I think is really cool because you can ask permission on a spiritual level to have everybody around you involved. And I don't know if you do that work as well, Lindsay, but I think oftentimes, as I mentioned, it may not be your energy but maybe your partner's energy that still needs to be healed in the process of being ready to have a baby. And I was just wondering, how do you, maybe you're speaking with the woman in the process, but how do you like envelop everybody there, like the partner as well, and or the extended family? Maybe there's siblings or whatnot that also need to be part of this new journey of the new baby coming in.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I haven't started working with kids yet. I have felt that that is something that I will do in the future, but that's not something that's in the cards right now. But I definitely help my clients work with also pets.
Right.
So pets, their
So
pets, and
often I
yeah,
see
and
that
their
that the
kids. Yeah.
animals are not ready for to be taken over by the energy of a baby, and you oftentimes have to let them know like it's going to be okay. You're still going to be the fur baby, and it is funny the energy of the animals.
Yeah, it's so funny. I did a reading, it was like the spring sometime. It was a spirit baby reading, and she was pregnant, early pregnant. She just wanted more clarity on what was going on because she had had a loss, and her dog kept coming through and was kind of mad. because the dog was the baby, and
Right.
they had a they this was their second baby. And the dog just kept coming through, was showing me that, like, different things that it liked to do, and like it just, but really specific things. And she's like my client's looking at me, she's like, I did this reading to like talk about my baby. I'm like, I don't know, I just get what I get. Like, your dog is your baby too, it's coming
Yes.
through. And she said we had to put the dog through training because it was so upset about, not being the center
I
of
see that all
attention
the
anymore.
time too. Yes.
Me
Like,
too.
you need to connect with their higher selves to let them know that it's okay. I know it sounds crazy, but it's so true. I
Yeah,
know.
absolutely. So to answer your question with the partners, generally, I find with men, if we're talking about a male partner here, a lot of times they need help with taking the pressure off. They feel a lot of pressure. And I do work with my clients on intimacy as well. We talk a lot about that.
Amazing.
So that is something I talk with men about, is really helping them to feel more intimate with their partner, because that seems to, they try to overperform all the time. And then if they're doing a natural pregnancy, if they're doing something with fertility treatments, then that would change a little bit. But definitely working with them on the emotional side. And you'd be surprised, and I'm probably, as to say this to you, Elizabeth, I don't think you'd be surprised, but there are so many men that have had fertility trauma before even trying to have a baby, like, for example, have had abortions, and they feel
Right.
really bad about it, and it's a blockage for them. So we have to work through that guilt and that shame, and that's hard. I've had that happen a lot.
I think we really underestimate the emotional aspect that fertility has on men. And I feel
Mhm.
like they're often really wanting to talk about it, and but just don't know how to verbalize it, and or to know who the right person is to listen about it. So if you have a partner and you're going through it, maybe just open the conversation and see what they have to say about it, because I agree. I hear it often, and I've even seen it out in the wild, in the world, with people, men
Mhm.
talking amongst themselves about miscarriage that they've gone through with their partner, and the other guy's not really knowing what to say about it,
Mhm.
but he's obviously putting it out there because he wants it to be acknowledged and to talk about what they're going through. But I think it's very underestimated how men navigate through fertility and loss in all kinds of ways, as you mentioned.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely tough. I think they get kind of put off to the side sometimes,
Right. Right.
So I was talking to another provider recently, and she's doing the same thing. She's a functional medicine doctor, and in her programs does the same thing. It's a couples program, and I've started doing that too. I offer a couple of sessions in the program. I try to do once a month with them together, and
Mhm.
then do them individually too, so that they can have a space to say what they want to say too.
Right.
Yeah, it's, I think we're just moving into a place where, whether you're a man, woman, or they, it doesn't matter, that we're moving into the feminine energy of being more comfortable with talking about our traumas, and more comfortable talking about our emotions. Um, because we should be able to, like, we should
I
be mad
know.
if we're mad. That's the other thing too. I've been working with a lot of clients. I've felt compelled recently is, get angry about stuff. Like, get angry, because getting angry really helps you to show the universe that, look, I'm done with this. Like, I'm commanding this. I'm ready for this, rather than asking for permission. I don't need to ask for permission. I already am this infinite creator, and I'm not tied to exactly when it's going to happen, but you need to show me I'm commanding it. Like, this needs to happen, kind of
Yes.
thing. So, yeah.
Yes, I know. I think that's part of us kind of stewarding these new babies, children into the world, of letting them know that having the feelings is okay, and to express what those feelings are is healthy. And as a mom of three boys, I know that that's something that I really try to. Yes, I want them to be strong men, but I also want them to know it's okay to feel something
Mhm.
and to express that. And not just because they're young, but as they continue to grow, to be like, okay, how did you feel about that? Is there anything that you still want to talk about with that? and make that a normal conversation, because I know I didn't grow up with boys, but I know that just the comments around school, boys weren't allowed to be crying and boys weren't allowed to be talking about how they feel. It was, what you ask a man, what do they think, not how do they feel. And I kind of want to change that narrative a little bit for my own children of, no, we can
Mhm.
know what you think and we can know how you feel. Those can be two
Mhm.
different things, and it's okay to have both of those things. So I agree.
Yeah.
It's about time that we open the conversation up to everybody involved. Where could people find you and work with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have my podcast, Fertile Frequencies, that's on every platform, as well as my website, which is fertilefrequencies.com. If people are interested and they'd like to work with me, I do spirit baby readings. So you can take advantage of booking one of those. You can find that on my website. They are 75 minutes, so they are long. I do give you a lot of time. I want to make sure that we have the time to go through everything and I answer as many questions as I can to help you on your journey, as well as I do have bigger fertility programs that you can apply for. I'm not on Instagram as much as I used to be. I really prefer more of my podcast, YouTube. But you can find me periodically on Instagram. But if somebody's really interested in reaching out, it's probably better to email or email. Just you send an email, somebody, me or somebody on my team will get back to you. So yeah, and I have some free downloads. There's a Spirit Baby meditation on my website, as well as a 7 steps to boosting your fertility, which is kind of more of the physical sort of ideas of supplements and things like that.
Amazing. We'll take it all, right? When you're in it, you want to try all the things and do all the things to bring in your baby to Earthside. So thank you so much for being here. Again, I'm so excited that I got to speak with you again and to share your energy with my audience as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Friends with Fertility. We hope that you found the stories, insights, and tips as inspiring and informative as we did. Remember, you are not alone on this journey. Your friends with fertility are here for you. If you've enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, rate, and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. And don't forget to follow us on social media for updates and more fertility resources. Until next time, stay hopeful and keep believing in your journey, and know that we are sending you lots of love.